Welcome back, Gadgeteers. For the first time in 9 years, I am upgrading my network infrastructure. So the current modem I have, I believe, is a DOCSIS 2.0 modem, and it can barely do like 120 megabits. I'm going to do some speed tests and show you what we have before and after we install this equipment. My current internet access speed via Comcast is 300 megabits. I may upgrade that. It just depends. See what we get with 300 megabits. And definitely needed, let's see, can we see that? Is the router. So same with my router. It's been working since about 2015, which quite frankly is pretty good. So good, as a matter of fact, that I can't even remember what brand it is. But it worked quite well. But once again, I did some local network speed testing, and I'm going to show you that also prior to and after the installation of this piece of equipment. So let's start doing an unboxing and see what we got. Let's start out with the cable modem. So I have never heard of this brand. I don't know if you have. Hydron, whatever you want to call it, but it's certified to work with Charter Spectrum and Xfinity, and of course I have Xfinity. According to their website, this company is US based. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to go with probably, but I have never used one of their products. Of course, before I bought an Aris modem, I had never used one of Aris's modems either. So just taking a little plunge here. I got this modem for $99, and I thought, well, I'll try it. If I don't like it, I'll return it. Minimum system requirements: cable broadband internet service, check. Check with your cable broadband internet service provider to ensure that it provides DOCSIS 3.1. I'm going to say check on that one. Not compatible with cable bundled voice services. X. I don't have cable bundled voice services. Tech specs: DOCSIS 3.1 cable modem, backwards compatible with DOCSIS 3.0 and 2.0, 32 downstream and 8 upstream channels, 2 OFDM downstream and 2 OFDMA upstream channels. Switchable between 5-42 and 5-85 megahertz upstream. 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, one of which will plug into the new router. Regulatory compliance. Ooh, it's got regulatory compliance. All right, what's on the other side? Well, before we go there, surf faster with speeds above 1 gigabits. Eliminate monthly rental fees. Why Hitron? Included in the box is a modem, AC power adapter, Ethernet cable, coax cable, quick installation guide. And there is one sticker here. I think I can just rip this open. Yeah. Inside, we have a quick install guide. I've done modems before. I don't know if you've done modems. There's really not a whole lot to it. I'll hold this up so you can have a look at it. Basically, you call your internet provider, tell them you have a new modem, give them the address on the bottom of your modem, and I believe it's the MAC address they need, so I'm putting my thumb over my MAC address, but it's right there. Inside here, we have a connector for power, we have the coaxial connector, and we have the 2 gigabit Ethernet jacks they talked about. And this, I can't see yet, but I have a suspicion that's a reset. Looks like it might be. So this modem and go on the wall. That's pretty cool. But normally it's designed to just sit flat. You can see that it's got plenty of grills here so that the modem can cool, but it has to be on a hard surface because it does look like it. Yeah, it does. It takes air in here. So we have these rubber feet that the modem will sit on. And we've got data lights. Data lights. We have what I've heard referred to as idiot lights. We've got a power light, data coming in, data going out, an @ symbol, not sure what that is, and what looks like a little computer, which I'm thinking is probably for the router, connection to the router. Do not place objects on top. That's probably good advice. These things get a little warm. All right, so there's the modem. Inside also, this is allegedly a Cat 6 cable, category 6. So very new cable. I don't see anywhere where it says that. We've got the power supply, and we have, what is this? Look at that. They even give you a coaxial cable, you guys. It's crazy. Pretty cool. On to more exciting things. Just kidding. Okay. Most people pull out their really cool knives. I have a number 2 pencil. And it's from Staples. All right, before I open it, this is an AX3000 dual band gigabit Wi-Fi 6 router. I couldn't afford a Wi-Fi 6E because those things are expensive. Have you looked at that? This one, as it is, was about $130. I think I'll have to check. The Wi-Fi 6E, they're like $300. And the only thing I can think of that has Wi-Fi 6E might be my MacBooks. I know my desktop doesn't have it. It's still an AC connection. So I would have to buy a new network connection for it. 3.0 gigabits, dual band Wi-Fi, 5 gigabit ports, USB 3.0 port. I find that interesting. So I could do what I did with the other router. I plugged a hard drive into it that has a bunch of media, and then you could just connect to the device with your computer, TV, whatever, and you could watch stuff from the USB drive that was connected to the router. It's interesting that this one is only a 3.0 port. I would have expected a 3.1, 3.2, considering how expensive this thing is. It's got a virtual private network. I feel safer already. WPA3, Home Shield. Compatible with Amazon Alexa. That really excites me. Not really. Buzzwords like Home Shield, they may make the average citizen feel safe, but you, my viewers, are not average citizens. Don't be fooled by Home Shield. Do a little Google research and see if that's really worth anything. Easy Mesh compatible. Now this interests me because I'm thinking of getting another hotspot like I have currently and putting it in the front room, which is closer to the kitchen, which is much closer to the backyard. So as I mow, I still have a good connection, and I can listen to books, I can listen to music, do whatever I want, watch videos. Quite frankly, I just turn my phone off. I have YouTube Premium. Turn the phone off, and I can listen to videos. Super fast, broad coverage. I have a suspicion this will be much, much better than my current router. The current router does okay, but my experience has been when you upgrade routers, usually, as long as you buy the right one, they do much, much better. Various languages here. except for English. I guess it makes sense. The English was here. It looks a little bit blurry there. See if I put it like this. I guess that's okay. Kind of the usual stuff. Super fast Wi-Fi connection. Connect more. Stay fast. The new Wi-Fi 6 standard reduces congestion. I believe it. Wireless 2402 megabits, 5 gigahertz, and 574 megabits on the 2.4 gigahertz channel. Ethernet ports are gigabit, and USB ports we already talked about. So let's get this out, see what it looks like. Box within a box. This piece of paper fell down. Can it connect to Wi-Fi 6 products wireless? Can't connect to Wi-Fi 6 products wirelessly. Some older versions of driver or software for wireless devices may be incompatible with Wi-Fi 6 products. If you're experiencing problems connecting to your Wi-Fi 6 products, please update driver or software for your wireless devices. How to update driver. And it has a list of 3 different things that you have to do to get connected. One says check the model of your wireless adapter, go to the manufacturer's website for the latest driver version, update the driver. You can contact them for further assistance in updating. So you're supposed to go get a new driver and download it off the internet. And if you put this device in place and you've got the old device taken out and you can't connect to the internet, you don't have internet. So what would you do? I would take the cable for the modem, the yellow Cat 6 cable, and connect your computer directly to the modem, and then download what you need. Some of you say, yeah, but my computer doesn't have a Cat 5, Cat 6, RJ45 jack. Well, okay. You can get USB hubs that have an RJ45 jack. So maybe you want to invest in one of those prior to doing this. I have a couple of computers that have RJ45 jacks, but as far as speed testing, they're older computers, so I would not in no way assume that the speed that they get is correct. Quick installation guide, Wi-Fi 6 router. I'm not going to read through this. Let me tilt it up so you can see this. In case you want to look at it. Button explanation. Whenever I get something like this, I always hope for the best. I just take down the old one, put in the new one, turn it on, see if it's showing up. Terrible, isn't it? So we have 4 antennas. And unlike my other router, they're nice and tight. My old router, they're loose. You have to tighten them while you're holding the antenna. And within a few seconds, they just end up falling over anyway. These ones feel much tighter. I do like that. Probably shouldn't have bothered putting those antennas up, huh? Okay, well, I ended up having to rip the plastic right off. Each of these antennas has some plastic on it that I have to take off. And the cover here, I guess they wanted it to look glossy and smooth when you got it. So I have to take that cover off. Same thing as with the cable modem. So there's grill work on the bottom. This is passive cooling. So as it heats up, it pulls cool air into the bottom and expels that hot air from the top. We have a wide area connection, and we have 4 LAN ports if you want to plug computers into it. Usually I don't have a use for that, but like we were talking about, I may put a USB drive, plug it into the USB port. I used to have this particular router right next to my computer, so I could plug my computer into it. I could plug my retro computer into it, laptop. I really like that. Unfortunately, it's now in another room. And this is the power button. Simple click on, click off. And the antennas. I don't know if you're able to see this, but you have to tighten the part down here, which it appears to be really tight. I don't think I'm going to have to make any changes to it, so I like that. All right, that is our Wi-Fi router. Comes with a cable. I'd like to assume this is Cat 6, but it's not. Can you see that? Cat 5e. Certainly not the end of the world. Cat 5e would be perfectly fine for a computer connected in directly, or if you wanted to, you could use this cable to connect to the modem. And a power supply. Okay, well, before I get started with any of this, we're going to do some speed tests and see what we're trying to compete against to get a faster speed test, hopefully when all the equipment is installed. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I have 2 MacBooks here. One is the MacBook Pro. This is an M3 Pro. The other is a MacBook Air M3. Both have 16, well, this one has 16 gigabytes. This one has 18 gigabytes. Both have 512 gigabytes of storage. Not really important. Over on this computer, I have turned on file sharing. And I've made a folder accessible by that computer. So let's go back over that way. And I've downloaded a program called LAN Speed Test. Keep in mind there are many speed test programs on the internet, but they're testing your overall internet speed, not your local network speed. We want to get local Wi-Fi network speed test. So I'm going to close this because I'm using it in light mode, because there's really only one test that I need to do. And the particular folder that we're going to use is the videos folder on that computer. So the idea here is we're going to take some data in the test, transmit it to that computer, pull it back again, and transmit it to this computer and get an idea how fast their network is. These 2 computers are the best bet as far as speed. Both are brand new, and the router is right in the other room. This house does have plaster walls. It's not drywall, so the walls have a thick metal mesh, and then the plaster's put over it. Plaster is thicker than drywall, and the metal mesh, it's almost like a Faraday cage. So the settings that we get, rather the test that we get, may not be spectacular. Let's find out. All right, let's click Start Test and see what we get. Error accessing the test folder. Please check the folder name or permissions. Looks like we got a little work to do here. All right, I had to go in and reconnect to the MacBook Air over there, because, and it makes sense, every time you try to connect to another computer on the network that is a Mac anyway, it asks you to log in again. All right, let's do our test and see what we get. Yeah, that's dismal. Let's try again. We'll clear the results and we'll start again. that is truly wretched. Let me make sure we're plugged into the correct network. We are not. Notice we're on the Electric Eye 2.4 gigahertz. We want to be on the 5. I think what I was doing back when I was testing essentially both. I think what I was doing is the last time I was running a test, I was doing it on the 2.4 gigahertz network. So I've now switched these both to the 5 gigahertz, but doggone it. We have this number we can see that gives us an idea of how good the 2.4 gigahertz connection was doing. All right, let's clear the results and start the test. I'm not overly impressed. I did this same test with my two computers in the exact same room as the router, and I got a much better test. Well, I won't say much better. It was about 100 to 120 megabits per second, and quite frankly, my internet testing was so-so, because you're testing at that point the modem through the internet to a server out there on the internet. And we're going to do that now. But before we do, I want to clear it. Say start the test. One more look here. So I don't know if it's caching some of this or not. I doubt it. It should be random. And we're looking at best case scenario about 100 megabits. Keeping in mind a megabit is not a megabyte. So a megabit is 1 bit times 1 million. Megabyte is 8 bits times 1 million. Sounds good anyway, doesn't it? Okay, let's do some speed testing here. Let's do the Ookla speed test. Looking for an optimal server, and go. .122.12 download. .23.55 upload. So you may be wondering, how can I have better on my test of my modem on the internet than I do on my network here? Well, my local area network is only being used to report this information in a web page. On the other hand, that connection is the best between my modem and a server out on the internet that I can get. That's a best case scenario. Here's what's even worse. On my Wi-Fi network, so I've got, the actual connection is 300 megabits, even though I'm only seeing 122. On my local area network, I'm seeing a third as much, about 99 megabits, best case scenario. So this router and this modem are kind of hamstringing me. If I wanted to get additional speed, pay Comcast a little bit more, maybe get a gigabit or 800 megahertz or whatever, 800 megabits or whatever, it would do no good because of the two pieces of equipment that I have here in my network. Let's do one more speed test from a different organization. All right, we're going to use Cloudflare. I don't know if you know what Cloudflare is. It's basically the backbone of the internet. So you get to connect from your local network to Xfinity, which connects through the internet to the server that you want to connect to. And this data of yours gets handed over to many different networks. Well, many of those networks are really sending the data over Cloudflare. So it depends what service that they use and who they are using as their backbone. Additionally, some have no idea. Well, I have no idea. I don't know what Xfinity uses. And once it leaves Xfinity's domain, they don't either. All right, let's click start and see what we get. All right, 136 megabytes download, 23.4 megabits upload. Not that great. Not even half the bandwidth that I am paying for is being used. We're going to fix that right now. Okay, so it's been about a week since the last part of this video that you just watched, which was the unboxing of the equipment. And looks like I ran the land speed test, which is a piece of software that you can get that runs on MacBooks that lets you, or any Mac for that matter, that lets you test the speed of your local area network, which is just as important as the speed you get from and to a router somewhere on the internet. So both legs of the journey for data is equally important. So I wanted to show you, I had this particular modem before, and I was curious, what was the maximum connection that I could expect from this? And it says here the theoretical data rate for this DOCSIS modem was 171.537 download. I was getting about 120. Now, keeping in mind that I have a 300 megabit data plan here on Xfinity. So, it was close, but I don't know if it was the modem or if it was the LAN. Let's continue and we'll find out. This was the router that I came from. It was a Linksys AE6900, and at the time it was really, really good. It was a AC router, so it did not have AX, no Wi-Fi 6 or anything like that. And it gives a theoretical rate of 1300 megabits per minute. The one thing I don't know if that's cumulative. If so, I have so many devices on my network. It's really difficult to say whether this was an issue or not. However, in the testing, as you'll see in just a few seconds, I think it was. So the new one is this TP-Link AX3000 Wi-Fi 6 router. It has 802.11 AX wireless router, which I wanted to do an upgrade because this is the first time I've upgraded my backbone of my network in 9 years. It's been a long time. So theoretically, I can get Wi-Fi 6 speeds of 2400 megabits on 5 gigahertz and 574 megabits on 2.4 gigahertz bands. And I've been doing some reading, and I always thought one band is different. 5 gigahertz, you can use that separately. 2.4 gigahertz, you can use that separately. But it looks like with these newer routers, you can use both simultaneously, which is actually pretty cool. For one reason, it speeds it up. And another reason, you can just go walk outside into your yard and presumably it will use the 2.4 gigahertz band and allow you to get a connection way away from your router. I haven't had a chance to test that yet, but so far it's been great. This made me a little bit nervous. We talked about it already. This is the Hitron modem. I'd never heard of them before, but I went ahead and did it, and it is definitely giving me so far what I wanted. It says it'll cover plans up to 1 gigabit per second, so I have some growth room there. I like that. All right. So there's before equipment and after. Now let's take a look. This is the land speed software test that I was running on my MacBook Pro. So I would go from my MacBook Pro to a share on my MacBook Air and transfer data back and forth. So the higher the score, the better off we are. So this blue here is the new network equipment when I'm in the same room, the LAN equipment specifically, the router. And I was getting 235 megabits, so I was very pleased with that between the MacBook Pro and the Air. Now, when I go into a different room, there is a significant downgrade in the speed, but still really good, especially when you go over here and compare it to what the old network, when you compare it here to the old network in the same room. So on the old network, in the same room, best possible scenario, all devices in the same room, really only got 72.91 megabits compared to different room of 149, so almost double, well, actually more than double what I would get in the best of circumstances on the old router. So if I was in a different room on the old network, again, quite a difference here. 56.46 versus 149.4, about 3 times slower. And this is the Pro to the Air. So this is an AX Wi-Fi connection to an AX Wi-Fi connection. I did the desktop because I was curious as to whether or not there would be a big difference, because the Wi-Fi card on my desktop, which you're seeing right now, is an AC card. And of course on the Pro we have an AX card. So 72.88 on the new network, really, really way lower. I think I might have to upgrade to an AX card, but it's not red hot, something I need to do immediately. I've got to, save my pennies, as we always talk about, and then I'll be able to get this particular card. In a different room on the new equipment, 43.84, transferring a large file would not really be something I would want to do. I had on the old network, same room, I could not get this router to connect and transfer information with the router and the two computers in the same room. I just said, okay, whatever. I would consider this test no good. And finally, the old network in a different room, an AX network card to an AC network card, 20.92. So there is a significant increase compared to the new network, new to old. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's about 3 times as much. I like it. However, I didn't really feel comfortable with this software. It had varied too much, so I wanted to do a test that would hopefully show us a better look at what my LAN is doing. So I created a file, 5.26 gigabits, and I transferred back and forth between some different systems. So this one, I went from the MacBook Pro to the MacBook Air. And you can see here, if you're in the same room, in seconds, that 5.26 gigabytes, would transfer in 183 seconds. That's not bad. That's basically about 3 minutes. I can handle that. Now, if I go into a different room with one of the computers, and so we've got, let's say, actually the two computers were in a different room, the router was in a different room. I got 318 seconds, still doable, especially when you think about 5.25 gigabytes. And the old network, well, 395 seconds versus its direct competition of 183 seconds. Quite a difference. If you were in a different room, you were looking at essentially twice what the new router was doing. So a significant difference here. Definitely glad I upgraded. If you come over here to the MacBook Pro to the desktop, we get a really decent transfer time on the new network if they're in the same room. If they're not in the same room, we still get a relatively decent transfer time, 528 seconds. This, though, I don't want to wait that long. I would prefer to wait less than half, more like a third of what the network was. And you're probably wondering about this. Well, this is about the best we could do with a transfer on the old network when systems were in different rooms from the router. This is terrible. Just so you know, that's about 42 minutes. So it's untenable to do any type of transfer using the router here, this old router. That's why I have so many portable hard drives, was because of this right here. Just to get something between two systems, forget it. You're not going to do a transfer. Yes, on the new network, we can, but on the old network, no. Okay, so I mentioned that my network connection speed at Xfinity was 300 megabits a second. Before, I think I showed you the test, I was getting between 120 and 133. So I was getting less than half of what I was paying for. So let's go ahead and do a test and see how it is and how different it is. All right, I've ran this test a couple of times and I've gotten a pretty much consistent numbers here. The highest download that I saw was about 200 megabits, but I want to say I believe it's the network USB network card that I have in this computer, because if I do the same test from my MacBook Pro, it's more like 300 to 350 megabits. Let me run that. I'll turn the computer on and show it to you. All right, check that out. 345.79 on the MacBook Pro with the AX adapter built in. 23.42 uploads. So a huge difference when you're using an AX adapter. That's really, really fast, and that's excellent for paying for a 300 megabit download speed. So I'm getting about 330 to 350 megabits. I'm really happy with that. I haven't upgraded my network in 9 years, so I paid about the same amount of money 9 years ago, and I didn't have to pay for rental of a cable modem, so I saved a significant amount of money. If you're thinking about getting a cable modem, I highly recommend it. The savings are there. Yes, you have to fork out $100 in the case of the modem that I bought, and another, $60 to $100 for the router. But wow, what a huge difference that makes. Hope you liked this video. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't, let me know. Thanks again. See you next time on Fast Gadgets.